It's the Trash Player League. Let's get it. Hello and good evening. Welcome to FLCN. We present to you the Trash Player League. Week 12 is in the books. We are moving on to week 13, and better days are ahead, hopefully for some teams, and some teams' worst days are ahead. Because, hey, guess what? These guys right here on the screen finally got a W. So, how you feel, man? How do you feel after finally getting this W after X amount of weeks?
Thank God. Thank God. That's all I can say. If I would have came in here with another loss, I would have probably just been like, dog, what's your 3 and out? I really suck. That's it. That's all I would have had.
Yeah, this week, finally got a W, and, playoff hopes are alive for all teams. Still, yet again, this week was very pivotal. This would have dictated a lot of things for a lot of teams, but because of the people that won, the game is still afoot, as they say. But these are all things we are going to get into as we get into the 3 and out and get into the power rankings and standings at the end of the show. But for now, it's time to get into that thing. You know, I just mentioned it, the 3 and out. Without further ado, let's just get into it. Let's talk about what's been going on in the league this week. So, here we go. All righty, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see here, we have the results of Week 12 matchups. Buck Fantasy Football Gods versus FTW. Fuck Fantasy Football Gods takes the victory there. Your player got hurt, takes the victory from Reese's Buttercup team. BoomerBus defeats Big Trust. Raw Dog Supreme loses to Luckylombardis. And We Not From 750 defeats Corey's championship team. And I Love Cam Newton defeats Indie Animals. All right. So we're going to start off right away, I guess, just going backwards. We're going to start off with I Love Cam Newton versus Indie Animals. You have this one, so sir, go ahead and take it away.
All right. So starting off this week, we have I Love Cam Newton versus Indie Animals. The score was 119.30 to 116.82. The first thing I want to start off with this one for the first down is the quarterback play. As you can see, Dak Prescott had a very, very solid game with 375 passing yards, 2 passing TDs, and 1 2-point conversion completed. He walked away with 28.80 points versus, I'm not sure why, Indie Animals went with Ben Roethlisberger, but he came away with a big floppy 9.02. He had 263 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown that came pretty much in trash time, but I guess it's better than nothing. And he had 2 interceptions. That right there is the biggest reason why you can say he lost. Taking a risk on Ben Roethlisberger was a huge gamble. He really hasn't done much this year. I think the most he's might have gotten is maybe 18? Can we take a look at his stats to see if that's true?
The most that he's gotten is 24, which was just last week.
Was it last week?
Excuse me, 27.
Oh, wow. Yeah, but as you can see, for the most part this week,
it was trash.
Yeah, for the most part, he's pretty much averaged around like 13 or so points, so that wouldn't make me feel too confident. Maybe he read an article or something that hyped him up for big men, and he thought things would look different, but that was a hell of a gamble, and it did not pay off. Moving on to down 2, I'd like you to go over to the running back game. If you look over at Nick Chubb probably had the worst showing that he's probably had in his NFL career. He had 23 reception yards, 2 receptions, and 16 rushing yards. I'm not sure how many attacks he actually had, but I would expect Nick Chubb to walk away with at least 15 to 18 a game. And it doesn't look like he had that. Walking away with 5 points is pretty bad. Ooh, 8 attacks. Yeah, man, that's not normal Nick Chubb stuff. As you can see, it looks like about 15 is his floor. And 8 sure as hell didn't get it done this week. I'm pretty sure that might even be worse than him walking away with Big Ben. But I wouldn't expect 5 from Chubb. I'd expect 9 from Big Ben. So I think that's one of those big argument points. Other than that, I would just have to say for the third and out, it really just comes down to bad luck. When you look at everything else, they're about even down to the defensive play. One can argue that he went for the homer play and went with Chicago, but going against Detroit this year, that actually wasn't a bad pick. If you go back to the prior 2 weeks, I believe they scored over 10 times for both of those games. I'm not sure. We can check the stats real quick. But I'm almost positive that they got 10 or more points the last 2 games before their bye. And yeah, 10-9. That's really not bad at all. So going against Detroit, you would expect at least 6, I would assume. So, him walking away with 4 is like kind of surprising, but it still was better than Los Angeles walking away with only 1 point. So I really just chucked this up to like bad luck. You picked Big Ben, Nick Chubb didn't show up, and you just was 3 points short of Chicago against Detroit. If we take a look at the bench, maybe there's something that could have helped them out.
Jarvis Landry. Yeah.
Yeah, Jarvis Landry could have helped them out, but I don't know. Jarvis Landry or Claypool is kind of, a coin toss. It could have went either way. What do you think?
Well, it definitely could have went either way here with the Jarvis Landry versus Claypool thing. So can't be upset at him for picking who he picked. At the end of the day, it does. I will say this going forward, it looks like Indianapolis is now in trouble going forward because of quarterback play. Ryan Tannehill, we don't know what he's going to do going forward, but he certainly can't be trusted with no A.J. Brown and no other receiver around. And now you're stuck in a position where you're scraping the bottom of the barrel for guys like Ben Roethlisberger and whatnot, hoping to play their matchups. So future doesn't seem to look bright for Indianapolis going forward, but he did get enough victories throughout the season that he may very well still make the playoffs. But this Nick Chubb thing is interesting, I find, because I don't believe Kareem Hunt did all that much either. So I don't understand what happened there. But the biggest takeaway for me was the kicker. You get 21 points from your kicker and you can't take advantage. That's unfortunate. So, yeah, that's all I had there. All right, so next we're going to go into We Not From 750 to Corey versus Corey's championship team. We Not From 750 scores 138.68 to 82.46 for Corey's championship team. All right. So point number 1 for me does go to the quarterback play, but particularly the quarterback play of Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson goes up against Cleveland this week and he struggled. 4 interceptions, 68 rushing yards, and only 165 passing yards. That equal to a fantasy score of 10.40. That is not what you're expecting from your quarterback here, especially a star quarterback that has once been an MVP. You do not expect that type of score from him there at all. Point number 2 is that the wide receiver play for We Not From 750 continues to plague him here. He gets 0 points from Allen Robinson because Allen Robinson did not play. And Emmanuel Sanders gives him 5.80. And when we look at his bench, the people that he traded for and got hopefully to make things better, they're not around, and they're probably still not going to be around this week because Amari Cooper has that serious case of COVID, and he isn't. He has yet to been cleared. But this particular week, on my third point, goes to the running backs, particularly Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette saves the day with a point total of 44.10. He comes away with 3 rushing touchdowns, 100 rushing yards, and 7 receptions. Leonard Fournette absolutely balled in this game, and he showed up and showed out for a read-9 from 750, largely giving him the victory here. And now let's just go ahead and look at the bench and see if anything would have changed their fate. And this is where, if I had a 4th down, I would take it, because it would go to what's going on with this bench. There's a lot of points on this bench here for Corey's championship team. Christian McCaffrey got hurt, so that's why his point total is what it is. So you can't really get mad at him for not playing his other guys. But A.J. Dillon is wasted on the bench here. Myles Gaskins is wasted on the bench here with 19 points. And J.D. McKissic is also wasted on the bench with a point total of 22. And Kareem Hunt, who is on IR in his bench, but he's now off IR, he's sitting there with 20 rushing yards. So he wasn't much help this week. It's a good thing that Corey championship team left him where he was and did not start him. But I do want to say this to you, Ricky, your point being before about J.D. McKissic and starting both of them. In this situation, on this particular day, this would have benefited him a lot. Antonio Gibson gets 23 and J.D. McKissic gets 22. A very rare occurrence for this duo to both score high in the same week. Do you have any takeaways or points from this matchup?
I can say probably the biggest disappointment I can see on this is the Pittsburgh's defense. I don't think anybody was expecting this game to turn out the way they did. At the very least, you would thought they would have been able to at least sack Joe Burrow 3 to 4 times and keep those points on him, but they blew them out so bad that he damn near got a negative. I don't know what stopped him from getting it. Oh, I guess it is 2 sacks and an interception right there. So that's 4 points. But when someone allows 35 points, that shit turns to a big fat 0. So it sucks. What I will say that I'm noticing, and it might be a problem for Corey going to the future, is again his bench, like you're pointing out. It looks like at this point he has too many running backs. I know someone can ask, why would you say he has too many running backs? Well, at the most, you can only run 3. And once you have about 4 to 5 of them, it's hard to play that picking game, and those things will start to haunt you after a while. So I think before the trade line, he should have probably tried to upgrade at his wide receiver position, maybe someone a little bit more comfortable than DJ Moore, and things might be looking different. But from here going out, it's going to be a hell of a guessing game from week to week.
Yeah, even with Christian McCaffrey going on IR, now you still have a guessing game of Kareem Hunt. Yeah, you still have a guessing game of surprisingly 5 running backs despite losing Christian McCaffrey, because you have Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissic, Myles Gaskins, A.J. Dillon, and Kareem Hunt. That's wild. I don't know why Julio Jones is still on his bench, but that just go ahead and kill that hope, bro. That's over. But yeah, that's all I got for this matchup. Let's go ahead and get into the next one, which is Raw Dog Supreme and your 18th best friend, Luckylombardis.
Shout out to my 18th best friend. I see you got you another lucky victory. So the score here is Raw Dog Supreme, 112.64 versus Luckylombardis with 146.62 points. This one is pretty much another case of bad luck. If you roll down, Raw Dog Supreme really just didn't guess well in this game. We can start here for him with his running back situation. Now, Justin Taylor did have a solid game. No one can complain about 19.7, but with the last few weeks of him booming over 35 plus points, that's kind of a letdown. But even more of a letdown than that is getting Ty Johnson, which would think would be a monstrous game, seeing that their other running backs were pretty much non-existent the last few weeks. But this week, he wasn't the guy. He only showed up with 42 rushing yards against the Houston Texans, which one would think they would get, a lot more service than that. I believe almost every team they've come across with so far, including, the Patriots, every running back has scored a touchdown. That wasn't the case today, and 4.2 won't get you a damn thing when you have Mitchell across from him putting up 27.80. The man ran for 133 rushing yards and had one rushing touchdown. And in the PPR, 5 receptions is huge. So that just had to have hurt. If we go on the other side of that with the wide receivers too, you can go back up to Elijah Moore and you'll see Elijah Moore didn't really have a great game. It wasn't a bad one. But the last few weeks, I believe he's had like at least 15 plus fantasy points. You would expect that floor to stay there, which it didn't. Tyler Lockett didn't have a big game across from him with the 12 points, but everyone else hit so big that it didn't matter. Deebo Samuel had another great showing. Austin Eckler also had a great showing. You had Elijah Mitchell, and then Justin Herbert doing an average 20 points a game. So that pretty much just put it away. Everything else is just an unfortunate situation. Jake Elliott with 1 point from your kicker. That's disappointing. Indianapolis against the Tampa Bay. I'm not really sure what he was thinking on that. I would never really want to go against Tom Brady with the defense. Not to say that, he's going to blow them out every time Tom Brady's lost, but I expect him to put up points. So I wouldn't expect to walk away with more than 4 or 5. So that's when I wouldn't have felt comfortable going in. I would have probably tried to trade it out. But to be honest, I don't think there was many other teams he could have picked up that would have did anything to help from all the other areas, like, not showing up. Let's take a look at the bench and see if he could have did anything. And that's a hell no. He has no bench.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins is on bye. Christian Kirk's on bye. Then he has 2 empty spots. I think this might have just been a case of him not sure who to pick up. All the injuries that we did have and waiver wire pickups this week, I believe, were a lot of no-names. So it's kind of just boom or bust, which is kind of crazy because so far, Raw Dog Supreme has been very good at picking those boomer bust players. Unfortunate situation. Hopefully his luck has, run out. We can sneak our way into the playoffs with his upcoming weeks, and hopefully there are more misfortunes.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I do want to point out that there is now currently a chink in Luckylombardis' armor, and Deebo Samuel's now being out for the San Francisco 49ers. So we will see how that works out going forward for this team. He does still have CeeDee Lamb, who will be returning to the team this week. But the surefire of Deebo Samuel is lost, and now he is in a position where he has to start Tyler Lockett every week, and so that'll be interesting to see how that works out for him going forward. Next up, we have my favorite matchup of the week. We have BoomerBus versus Big Trust, and BoomerBus was all boom this week when it came to going up against Big Trust. Neither team here scores very high. BoomerBus scores 98 flat versus Big Trust 97.04. Big Trust does not even lose by a full point, but a loss is a loss. And this is the second such loss for Big Trust against BoomerBus. These two teams do not like each other, and this year it seems as though Big Trust is just taking all the beat down from BoomerBus. In this matchup, point number 1 goes to the quarterbacks, of course, always, because BoomerBus, anytime he has won, it has been on the back of one Josh Allen, who has not disappointed him this week, giving him a score of 33.70 points, opposed to Big Trust getting a very rare performance from Tom Brady, 12.24 points. Tom Brady gets 1 passing touchdown in this one and 1 interception. All the touchdowns in this one went to Leonard Fournette, who had 3. So there wasn't much room for Tom here, seeing how this was a Leonard Fournette day. And the problem with Big Trust, which is point number 2, is that If you have days like those and Tom's not the star of the show, then guess what? Your ambiguously gay duo of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin ain't going to do much. They both sported 4 points here. Mike Evans getting 4.6 and Chris Godwin getting 4.7. This is not ideal. This is not the stuff that is going to get you victories. Hopefully they could do something going forward. My last point being is that opposed to the Indianimals, Nick Folk gives 21 points to BoomerBus here, and that goes a long way to the victory. When you get 21 points from your kicker, you are supposed to be expecting a good day, and that's exactly what BoomerBus got on this particular day here. Let's just look at the bench and see if anything would have changed the fate here. Big Trust has been leaving Mooney on the bench, leaving him sad and alone, and Mooney has been just eating up points on the bench for the last couple of weeks, and he has yet to get any play. And it's weird, but that would have changed everything. Let's look at it here. Daryl Mooney, since October 31st, has not been a letdown. So that means for an entire month, Darnell Mooney has been startable and been playable, and Big Trust has yet to pull the trigger. And this week it cost him. So, do you have anything of note to say here?
There's not much you can say for the game. I understand why he didn't play Mooney. If we go back up and look, it really just came down to, are you going to play Mooney over Godwin or Evans? It's going to be a no every time, especially when they're attached to Tom Brady. In this particular case, I mean, him and Higgins, he really couldn't have picked wrong. I think Higgins actually scored more. So it's just one of those things to where you got to live or die by Tom Brady and his guys. So tough. Yeah,
didn't work out this week. That's all. Just didn't work out. But it is what it is. This bitter rivalry is continues to stew and steam as Big Trust is stewing and steaming in defeat right now. All right. So next up, I guess we have Fuck Fantasy Football versus FTW.
All right. So this week we got Explicit Word Fantasy Football versus FTW. Explicit Fantasy Football Word came out with 129.30 versus FTW 72.76. This game was unfair. I feel like the victory was stolen away from Explicit Word Fantasy Football because, as you can see, FTW didn't even try. Jalen Hurts was a good play. He's been pretty solid for most of this fantasy season. He just had a very, very bad game. But if we go down to the defense, like, what was that? He didn't even attempt to get a defense to put up a fight. He just left it there. I don't know if that was just him being, preoccupied with other things like possibly drinking or, just plain sheer arrogance and him saying, my team's that good, I don't need a defense. But whatever the case is, the rest of the team didn't show up as well. You got Booker coming in with a big old whopping 3.70. You got to let that go and find something else. Saquon Barkley's back, and while he's back, he's going to cut into Booker's work. I know he's been pretty big for him earlier this season, but that was all while Saquon Barkley was out. That's over with. So you're going to have to find something or you're going to suffer from that going on week from week. DeAndre Swift, he went down pretty early in the Lions game for what I hear for Thanksgiving. So that might be another possible future problem that you have. Not having two running backs in the league where everybody else has running backs. It looked like you and Corey might have did some talking earlier before the trade deadline, and things could look a lot different for you guys going into the future. But it is what it is. There's not really much you can say for this. As you can see, it was just a bad display of team management and player injuries. I mean, we could go to look to the bench, but I don't think he's got anything there that could have helped him. Nope. You got Alvin Kamara gone. You got Mark Ingram gone, both due to injuries again. And even worse, that's the running back situation. So I don't know. But I will say going forward, if he decides to play both of them together, that's not a bad thought, especially with how Sean Payton, divvies up the ball with his running back. So he might want to look to do that, especially if Swift's going to be out for any longer.
Yeah. The start of Matthew Stafford would have only just made this defeat look better. It wouldn't have did anything for getting him the W. But it is what it is. I will say this because this was my matchup. This pretty much seemed like it was decided from Thursday. I kind of feel like on Thursday you had the big victory from Buffalo, where Knox showed up with 18 points. Hunter Renfrow showed up with 21 on Thanksgiving. And then you get the decent 11 from Buffalo. So from Buffalo's defenses. So it seemed like the writing, and with a big player like Swift going down so early, it seemed like this was pretty much sold up once Thursday games were over. It was just a matter of what the margin of defeat was going to be. At least that's what it looks like on paper. All right, so lastly, we have the matchup of the week. Two newly found friends. They go up against each other. Your player got hurt, versus Reeses Buttercups. And your player got hurt, scores 116.18 to 90.82. Reeses Buttercup team takes the L here, despite the fact that Cam Newton only got 5.68 points for your player got hurt. That Taylor Heineke was not able to take advantage of the low score from Cam Newton, only getting 7 more points than Cam Newton did in this matchup. The big thing here was that it's Joe Mixon. This trade for Joe Mixon has been showed up. This is what you expect when you make a trade. You expect the guy you trade for to actually perform and do something for you. And your player got hurt, got exactly that from Joe Mixon. This week he got 32.30 points to the tune of 165 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, along with 4 receptions. And my last point that I want to make here is that Pat Freiermuth shows up for your player got hurt here. This has been somebody that he's believed in for all season, and to see him show up and give him a good outing as a tight end it's heartwarming. Something you want to see. Something that makes you feel confident going forward and starting the young fella. But on the flip side of that, you have, Reese's Buttercup team has been going through tight ends all season, and this time Conklin, he was not able to do it, only giving her 4 points here. And that's largely because, Zach Ertz is on bye. Let's look at the bench here. Reese's Buttercup team, her best players who have been performing over the last couple of weeks, they were on bye weeks. Patrick Mahomes, who is pretty much the linchpin of this team, of whether or not they're going to win or lose, he was on bye. And Zach Ertz, since joining the Cardinals, has been he's been solid, but I thought he did better than that over the last couple of weeks. But he showed up right before the bye to the point of 28 points. So she did not have him this week. So it is what it is. The L is what it is. Your player got hurt. Could have started Denver's defense, and that's about it there. All right. So you want to speak on this W that you took here?
It was a much needed W. Cam Newton's off my team. I can't trust him. I thought he might be, one of those steals of the end of the season, and it's not looking like that. Cam showed up to shit the bed. I'm sure there's a I Love Cam Newton fan out there that's like disappointed for me to say such horrible things about Cam, but I'm going to have to go ahead and release him. He's not the answer. Much needed win. I have to say, honestly, it felt really, really weird cheering that DK Metcalf did nothing last night in a loss versus the Washington football team, since the Seahawks is my actual football team. But I needed the W, and we're not going to the Super Bowl, so it is what it is.
Yeah, away from fantasy and just looking into football, DK Metcalf is doing that thing that Seattle does every single year, which is first half of the season they're on fire. Second half of the season, it's like they were doused in fire retardant because they don't do shit from there. It looks like there we go. You woke up for me. Here we go. So looking at it, and like I said, first half of the season on fire. Second half, like clockwork, since week 9, 5 points, 7 points, 2 points. This happens every single year with the Seattle offense. They start out like a fucking like a shotgun, and then from there it's a cap gun. So we'll see what happens going forward, but I think the powerhouse that DK Metcalf has been for her over the first half of the season, don't look for that anymore. Don't see that happening. But for you though, what I saw this week, it does leave good news for starting Joe Burrow going forward, because it looks like he's finally decided to stop hyper targeting Jamar Chase, which makes them a better offense, which will make him a better QB going forward if he's not doing that. So we'll see how that goes. But that is the end of the 3 and out, and so that's the end of the 3 and out. And our next segment will be going into actually, do you want to do the league standings before we go into the matchups for the new week?
Sure, it doesn't matter. That works.
All right. So, we're going to go into the league standings here. Actually, before we even go into the league standings, let's look at the league pick'ems from last week and see how that worked out for us. All right. So here's the league pick'ems for this week. Called a little bit of audible and wanted to get into this out the way right now. As you can see here, I was 2-3 this week. Apparently there was a match that I didn't vote on. Oh, I didn't vote on this one apparently. All right. So anyway, your player got hurt. I called that correctly. The FTW versus Fuck Fantasy Football Guides, I called that incorrectly. The Big Trust versus BoomerBus, I purposely called this incorrectly because I wanted to be the albatross that makes this go the other way, and it looks like it worked out in this particular case. And Luckylombardis called that correctly. You shaking your head. Why is that?
Because that's just hilarious. Because you set yourself up to where if you would have if Big BoomerBus would have lost, you would have been like, "Well, I picked you. What's the problem?" And now that he won, you're like, "Yeah, I wanted him to win anyway." Reverse psychology on that ass. Like, that's hilarious.
So Luckylombardis takes the W, and Corey's championship team, he took the L here, and I expected him to beat We Not From 750, and that's largely because of Lamar Jackson. All right, so now that that's out the way, now let's get into the matchups for the current week. So here we are, week 13 matchups right here. First, we have Fuck Fantasy Football Guides versus Your Player Got Hurt for the rematch. BoomerBus versus Raw Dog Supreme, Luckylombardis versus Corey's championship team, Big Trust versus FTW, We Not from 750 versus Indie Animals, I Love Cam Newton versus Reese's Buttercup team. All right, so I guess let's just start out with us. Let's start out with the big matchup. Big matchup here. Two teams vying for a playoff spot. One team has your player got hurt, has a much better shot at making the playoffs than Fuck the Fantasy Football Gods. But both are still alive for the playoffs, and pretty much whoever loses this matchup, that's pretty much the end of their season. So let's look at it here. You have Kyler Murray, who has yet to be announced whether or not he's practicing or whether or not he's going to be available. Fuck the Fantasy Football Gods, we're hoping that he will be available. Joe Burrow going up against the Chargers here. Then you have Jamar Chase, who has been absolutely awful since acquiring him. He has to start this week because Fuck the Fantasy Football Gods does not have Devontae Adams, because this year we have late-ass bye weeks that go all the way into week 14. So week 13 is the Green Bay's bye week, and so there is no Devontae Adams this week. But your player got hurt, got Deontay Johnson. He has Michael Gallup, and again, hoping for a player to actually be available is Antonio Brown. If Antonio Brown could be available, that would be great. But he has not played yet, and no one has announced whether or not he's practicing or whether or not he'll be available. So we're still just hoping against hope for some action there. But this is a big one right here. Najee Harris going up against Baltimore. Baltimore has not been the defense of old, and Najee Harris is coming off of a game where he was not featured much at all, and the Pittsburgh offense suffered for it. So I expect a lot of Najee Harris this week, and I expect it early and often because Pittsburgh embarrassed themselves just the week before. Joe Mixon has been riding high, and I expect Cincinnati to continue to ride that horse as long as they possibly can, and as long as it's effective. So we are looking at two bona fide horsebacks here that are pretty much have a good shot of scoring heavily for your player got hurt this week. That's pretty much all I got for this matchup. I mean, Fuck Fantasy Football Guys, he does have James Robinson, but James Robinson is coming off of a bad week and going up against the Rams. And then you have Cordero Patterson, who more than likely he's going to, at the very least, get 15. But he's going up against Tampa Bay, so I'm expecting him to hit his floor of around 13 to 15 and not really hit his ceiling. So what do you see here, Ricky?
Well, the three biggest people I'm worried about on your side of the field is Kyler Murray, because it's Kyler Murray. Hunter Renfrow, because the Washington football team secondary is horrendous, and Hunter Renfrow has been fucking superb ever since they got rid of Gruden. Mm-hmm. Also, I'm not sure if Waller's going to be playing or not. So with Waller questionable, that just ups the targets for Hunter Renfrow. The third person I'm super worried about is not Cordell Patterson. Believe it or not, it is Knox. I noticed when Knox wasn't available for the Buffalo Bills, they had a really rough time getting things going. I don't know if that's just, a coincidence or not, but I'm wondering if Bill Belichick notices that and if he's going to take him out of the game. If he does, that's great for me, because that's a blocker and an offensive threat I don't have to worry about. I think since you've got him back, he's been on the roll. And when you first acquired him through the waivers, he was on the roll. So I'm hoping they can take away that one touchdown from him that he seems to average anytime he plays. So those are the people I'm worried about. Cordell Patterson, I think he's going to get off. and there's not much I can do with it. Tampa is good versus running back, where Cordell Patterson is everything except for a fucking quarterback on that field. So the MVP of the league is going to get points, and there's nothing you can do unless they break his leg. So, yeah.
Yeah. Let's look at the bench, though, and see what we got here. If there is no Kyler Murray, I have to start Jimmy Garoppolo. It is what it is. And as of right now, I do not have an answer for if there is no Antonio Brown. So I guess it would possibly Devontae Freeman, but can't really count on that. So yeah, and on the flip side here, you have you have Jeff Wilson. I guess there's a chance you would start him instead of Rashad Bateman, but probably not. So
I think I would probably put Logan Thomas in before I would do Jeff Wilson, only because I know Logan Thomas will get targets. Jeff Wilson is someone's got to get hurt and all sorts of things. It's just too much of a roll of the dice with the San Francisco's running backs.
Yeah. So I'm going to pick your player got hurt for this. And it's just largely because of no Devontae Adams. Like, I picked up Jamar Chase for the eventuality of not having a Devontae Adams. And this dude he's been nothing but shit since I've acquired him. Like, he's been god fucking awful since I've acquired him. So I'm announcing it here. There will be, going forward, no one ever looked to trade me anything. I'm no longer trading with anyone for anything. That's a wrap. No trade has ever worked out for me in this league. So I'm done with that. But here we go. I'm picking your player got hurt for this one because no Devontae Adams and Najee Harris and Joe Mixon. I'm looking at that being a possible 60 points between the two of them.
I got you winning this one simply because my quarterback situation is always horrible. I can't rely on them. It seems since I picked up Joe Burrow, the only time he shows up for me is if it's a divisional game. And, well, last I checked, the Chargers aren't in that division, so I don't see him doing well. Also, Freiermuth, if I'm not mistaken, he's in concussion protocol, so I might not even have him to go out there and play. So things can get tricky. Then again, that's also another rivalry game, so I don't know what to expect with that.
Then you have Logan Thomas.
I do, but then with Najee Harris, you're saying you expect big things from him. I know the public and some of the staff was furious that they didn't feature him more in this game, but I don't know if you noticed this. Baltimore's run defense has been really, really good these last couple of games. They've been doing very good at stopping running. Well, look at Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. They weren't able to run anywhere.
That's true.
Nick Chubb is a better running back at this point than Najee Harris. Najee Harris is just too fresh in the NFL for you to just put him over there. So, yeah, that's something to look into. Also, my wide receiver situation isn't that great. Michael Gallup, I may or may not play him depending if Amari Cooper plays. And even still, if Amari Cooper doesn't play, that Wilson kid is getting was out-targeting Michael Gallup. I don't know what to expect once CeeDee Lamb comes in, because CeeDee Lamb gets hyper-targeted from Dak Prescott. And they said they wanted to get, what's that boy's name? Ezekiel Elliott more involved into the next game. So I don't know what to expect with that. Rashad Bateman, I love him, but Lamar Jackson's been throwing 4 interceptions a game, so don't know if I can rely on that.
Yeah.
So we'll see. This is going to be a lot closer than I think you think.
I think this game has potential to be close, but I would just say that there's a lot more question marks on my side than there are on yours. So we're just going to move on into the next matchup now, and the next matchup is BoomerBus versus Raw Dog Supreme here. BoomerBus is set to score 106.45 to 126.13. anytime that we see this low type of score, most of the time it's because there's a bye week somewhere that isn't being accounted for. And yes, here we go. There's a bye week with the Carolinas defense. He will not have them this week, so he has to go find himself a new defense to start. But Josh Allen versus New England Patriots defense, that is not a tasty matchup. Mike Williams this week. Did he do anything? Yeah, no.
He was solid last game.
No,
he was solid for Mike Williams. Oh wow, he wasn't. It seemed like he was a lot more involved in that game. Wow.
Yeah, he showed up for me. He showed up for me in one play against me for one play, and then he went back to being exactly nothing. So, how about that? So Mike Williams. He has Crowder here for the Jets going up against Philly. That has potential, but that Zach Wilson, they still look bad. So his receiver situation is not good. Josh Jacobs came alive this past week. So we'll see if he'll carry that going forward. Mike Davis is a nonsense play. But here's the thing. I think he does. He still has Williams on his team, and now that DeAndre Swift is going, by the end of the week, that will be in that starter position. So that changes things there. And he also has Chuba Hubbard. Oh, no, Chuba Hubbard's on bye, so he can't utilize that. Oh.
But he does have Tyreek Hill.
Yes, I see that. Tyreek Hill does come back. So Crowder, more than likely, is not going to play at all. Knowing Sean, the more than likely moves that is going to be made here is Williams is going to get the start. And Tyreek Hill obviously is going to get the start. And as far as his flex go, I'm going to guess that it's going to go down to Sutton to get the start there. So we'll see how that works out. But on the flip side, you have Hines. Why is he starting Hines there?
Because they're going against Houston.
But so he's starting Taylor and Hines. That's an interesting pick. That's very interesting. But there's a chance he has DeAndre Hopkins back. So that's a big deal. Van Jefferson has been lighting things up for the Rams as of late. Oh no, he's been getting targeted a lot. It just this week was the first time it resulted in anything, but he hasn't caught more than 4 balls since week 4. So yeah, Van Jefferson isn't as much of a threat as I thought he was, but it's there. So yeah, who you have in this one?
And this one, I think I'm going to go with Raw Dog Supreme. It's just Jonathan Taylor for the most part. Jonathan Taylor versus Houston is huge. I expect nothing less than 30 points in that game. Also, the only thing that concerns me about BoomerBus's situation is all of his best players are going against really tough defenses. You got Josh Allen going against New England. You got Mike Williams going against Cincinnati. Even Tyreek Hill, when he plugs him in, he's going to be going against that Broncos defense. And surprisingly, they've gotten even better since letting go of Von Miller. And if I'm not mistaken, they got the other Hubbard in. I can't remember his name. Nick Chubb's cousin. Whatever his name is. Anyone who watches football here probably knows what I'm talking about. But they got him back last week. And you see what they did last week. So that'll be interesting. I don't know what to expect with that. And then his fourth biggest player, which is George Kittle, they're going against a rivalry game. Contrary to belief, the Seahawks have been very awful, but that's all been on the offensive side. The defensive side has been very, very solid. They've been doing their job. The offense just can't keep it up. So I don't know what to expect.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go with you on this one. It does not look good for BoomerBus in this matchup. So and this one isn't an albatross pick. I really just believe in Raw Dog Supreme for this matchup. So.
Oh wow! And you got Waddle going against the Giants.
Yeah, Waddle.
Yeah, man.
Waddle has been on fire. Waddle has been on fire. So I think legitimately, Waddle and Taylor are the only people. Well, no, Waddle, Taylor, and Pitts are the only people that he drafted that are still currently on his team. So
that is correct. Oh, and Russell Wilson.
Well,
that's the only other guy.
All right, so. Moving forward, we have Luckylombardis versus Corey's championship team. Now, this matchup is going to be interesting because Corey championship team, he has bye weeks for DJ Moore. Christian McCaffrey is obviously on IR, so it doesn't even matter about that one there. But I guess the interesting thing is at this point, do you give Kirk Cousins the start over Lamar Jackson if you're Corey's championship team? Kirk Cousins going to Detroit.
It's hard for me to say because this is the type of match you want Lamar Jackson in. When you have really tough defenses, really tough defenses with exceptional offenses, that's when he shows up because he has to come back from behind. Mm-hmm. Now, when you play against a team with a really good defense and a shitty offense, he usually doesn't have to come back from behind too much. He can get it done with getting kicks and maybe just one touchdown, and he doesn't show up. So it's hard to say. Kirk Cousins, on the other hand, he seems to be in shootouts every week because the damn defense can't get it done. Kirk Cousins has been playing fucking terrific for the past couple of years. It's just their defense is lacking. So it's like, it's really, really tough to say. In this particular matchup, I want to go with Detroit, but it's hard to go against Lamar Jackson because he has a safe floor.
Well, yes, I hear you there, but what is he going to do at running back? We spoke about it before, that his choices get difficult, but it got a little bit easier this week thanks to the bye. No A.J. Dillon, so that kind of dummy proofs him a little bit here. I guess my question to you here, and no Kareem Hunt, so because of the bye as well. So it really comes down to Myles Gaskins and J.D. McKissic. Do you feel strongly enough that you would start Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissic against the Las Vegas Raiders, or do you roll with Myles Gaskins against the Giants?
Well, as they always like to say, health is wealth, so I'd have to go with Gaskins in this situation. With the uncertainties of J.D. McKissic, I can't put him in the lineup. From my understanding, Corey is a busy man, so if he can't get to his lineup in time in the morning, safest thing is to put Gaskins. In this situation, I honestly want McKissic to just be hurt because then you have no choice but to feed Antonio Gibson, and it takes away from the guessing.
Yeah, definitely. That is what you would want here. Looking at it here, J.D. McKissic advice. Jesus Christ. The status for Week 13 in Vegas is up in the air. So, yeah, this is what I was looking for all year, was for something more solid, for one of them to actually be out so one guy can be it. But I didn't get that. And so it makes it easier for Corey's championship team. And if this is what he is getting, then this makes him harder to beat, honestly. If Antonio Gibson is the lone guy, like Antonio Gibson put on a show just last night, you know what I mean? Like he was running all over the place. So that shin injury is clearly behind him at this point. That makes him that much stronger for the matchup. And Myles Gaskins, I believe, has been doing pretty good. Yep, 2 weeks in a row, he's been up up for the task, and now he gets a soft defense in New York Giants. This actually may be a closer matchup than Luckylombardis would like. Yeah, we spent all that time talking about Corey's championship team, but on the flip side, you have CeeDee Lamb going up against New Orleans. I guess my thing would be, do you think Marshawn is going to blanket CeeDee Lamb or no?
I think CeeDee Lamb's going to just, embarrass that boy. All of the faster, younger wide receivers we've seen this year have pretty much, killed him. And CeeDee Lamb is one of those good route runners. And I don't know if you saw the week before last with Stephon Diggs with that cha-cha-cha move into the end zone. I would expect some of that to go down on Lattimore. So, yeah. But seeing that CeeDee Lamb might be the strongest weapon that they have out there, I wouldn't be surprised if he got shadow coverage. So,
yeah, like that's the thing. Like without Amari Cooper, like you feel more comfortable just doubling up CeeDee Lamb and shutting him down and making him figure out elsewhere. But they try to make him figure it out elsewhere. He has Schultz, and so this will be an interesting matchup. But I'm going to go with Corey championship team here, because of the interesting plays that he has going forward. Like I said, with no J.D. McKissick, I think Antonio Gibson is poised for a big day. And then you have, and then you take DJ Moore out of the lineup, and you put in, I guess you would put Malcolm Brown up there. So then you would have Dallas Goedert playing, who's going up against the Jets. Yeah, I like it. So I'm looking for Lucky to finally see his upset against an unlikely opponent. How about yourself?
I don't think it's going to happen just yet. Elijah Mitchell is the person that I'm looking at in this. I think he's going to be the threat. With Deebo Samuel sidelined, I expect him to get a lot more targets in the passing game. And we just got through talking about Antonio Gibson running all over the Seattle Seahawks. 49ers have a much better run game than they do. So I'm expecting big things from that. Also, I mean, the man hasn't lost yet. It's kind of hard to pick against someone who just seems to keep getting it done. He's still got Herbert in this. He still has Austin Eckler, and that combo right there has saved him week after week. Clyde Harris is back. He's been putting it down. Yeah, man, I like Schultz too. Schultz against that secondary for New Orleans, that's still a threat. So if CeeDee Lamb can't get to it, it's just something I like. The only play that I am kind of like iffy about is the Dallas Cowboy one. I think I would still go with New England in this one for that. But, I mean, it's a homer play, and he knows New Orleans and Dallas better than I do. So let's see what happens.
All right.
But that's definitely he's definitely going to be my pick.
All right. I'm going to stick with the possible upset here. So now let's go ahead and get into the next matchup here. We have Big Trust versus FTW. All right. So FTW set his lineup for the week already. Alvin Kamara, he gets back Alvin Kamara. That's a big deal. No Debo, so Brandon Ayuk has potential to be a huge play this week. He's starting Matthew Stafford against Jacksonville. I like that play. But on the flip side, you have Tom Brady in Atlanta and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Like that's if AB doesn't play, this is easily 80 points. Just the three of them. That's 80 points. Just the three of them if AB doesn't play. So, yeah, man, that's scary. Mark Andrews, this running back situation is awful. Like, this is an awful running back situation. He's going to need all 80 of those points because his running backs just ain't going to be able to get it done at all. Like, even though Saquon Barkley is going to get the start, Saquon Barkley is, like, right now, New York isn't good enough, and he isn't good enough with New York. So it is what it is. And yeah, that's just what I have right now. I'm going to pick Big Trust for this one. How about yourself?
I like the floor of FTW side a little bit better, so I think we're gonna roll with him.
I'm sorry. So yeah, maybe I will.
You got Matthew Stafford going against Jacksonville. They're gonna throw that ball regardless. They don't give a fuck about the run game. They got what's his name, Darrell Henderson hurt, so I don't know how they feel about Sony Michel as a pass catcher. They do love Cooper Kupp. They're trying to get Odell more acclimated for playoff times, and they still got Jefferson, so I can see him just throwing for about 3 or 4 touchdowns. Michael Pittman against Houston. At some point, Wentz is going to throw it. He's going to connect, and that should be an easy touchdown. Cooks is Cooks, man. I can't explain it, but this guy just seems to get it done. Like, whether it's through targets or he actually scores a touchdown, I wouldn't be shocked. The Booker pick, I don't like too much. But who knows? Who knows with that one? If Saquon gets hurt or something, he might be able to just pick it up from just like easy receptions. They are supposed to be starting a different quarterback this week, so I don't know if that changes how they play because he's not as mobile. They said, what's his name, is out for this game. Kamara's Kamara. That could be a huge game or that could be a bad game because Taysom Hill is the quarterback. You got Travis Kelce. He's Travis Kelce. Brian Ayuk. As you said, Debo's not playing. Then he has Justin Tucker as a kicker. That should be like a good, safe 9 points. The Arizona defense against Andy Dalton. Yeah, I kind of like that a lot. But, I mean, I just like the floor of FTW's team a little bit better than Big Trust's. Big Trust is too many uncertainties. Is Gronkowski going to get all the touchdowns? Is Antonio Brown going to play? That changes everything. Tom's going to have a great game nonetheless. I don't know where Evans and Godwin fall. Saquon Barkley. Yeah, with all due respect, I love Saquon, but yeah, you've just been shit this year. It's just a team thing. The James Conner pick, I think, what's his name is out, right? The other quarterback, Ito Benjamin or whatever.
You mean the other running back? Yeah.
Edwins or whatever, the main one. I think he's still on IR.
Yes, he is.
I think he's on IR. Andrews is a good pick. The Higgins one, I don't know. And Crosby, actually, yeah, if he gets a good kicker, he should be okay because Crosby shitted on him each time. If he didn't have Crosby last week, he probably would have won because Crosby missed more kicks.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So I'm feeling, big trust for this one. FTW has a shot for sure, but big trust, like, this is his victory. This is just scary. This 3 versus Atlanta is just scary, despite what could happen. Like, the possibilities of what could happen in the positive for Big Trust is just scary. It's too scary to bet against it. So next up we have We Not from 750 versus Indie Animals. I don't know what's going on here, but We Not from 750 is only set to score 90 points. Oh, crap. No Aaron Rodgers, no Tennessee defense. That's a huge start to it. Allen Robinson is garbage because of the team, not because of himself. Buffalo just has not been utilizing Emmanuel Sanders all that much. You have Leonard Fournette, which is good. You have Zeke and Gronk. And Pollard, which all could be great plays, but Amari Cooper is sitting there, Oh, Jesus. And and you're going to be searching for a quarterback this week. So yeah, it's not even a whole lot to be said. It's just you're going to be scraping the bottom of the barrel looking for a quarterback this week. And, this is Indiana's dub. How about yourself?
Yeah, I got Indiana's. The only thing I would suggest that he might want to do is start looking for a more reliable tight end. Yeah. And I would switch Claypool out for Sonny Michel. Darrell Henderson, I believe, isn't playing. Sonny Michel's going to get all the carries. That just seems like a safer floor. It's not a divisional game. They're going against Jacksonville. Like, eat.
Yeah. Well, you meant switch Henderson out for Sonny Michel because he has.
Oh, I thought Henderson wasn't playing. I swore I saw something earlier in the week saying he wasn't playing.
He might not, so I didn't even know. He's showing up as questionable right now.
I didn't even see him playing, but yeah, I guess just leave it as is then. I swore I saw that he wasn't supposed to be playing. I didn't even realize he had him in the thing. I saw Claypool. I thought he had somebody else for a running back besides Henderson.
Yeah, Indiana's has held on to Madison, and it's a good thing that he did because Cook went back down, and so Madison is the play yet again. So, all right, that was the easiest one we've done so far. I apologize, we not from 750, but you just don't have a shot in this. If you win this, some things went horribly for Indiana's, like absolutely horribly. I love Cam Newton versus Reese's Buttercup team. All right. Two teams that are still in the playoff hunt going up against each other. And I love Cam Newton is set to win this one 109.85 to 104.52. And that's with him having two empty slots on the team currently. So Dak Prescott, Cooper Kupp going up against Jacksonville is a huge deal. Odell Beckham, David Montgomery. Let's look at the bench here. All right, so she does get Patrick Mahomes back, but Patrick Mahomes' ceiling just isn't the ceiling that we've grown accustomed to. Looks like somebody will be in the waiver wire this week because he needs to fill two slots and he's not filling it with anything that's on here. So, all right. So what do you see here? Because like he's empty here and he doesn't have anything to start. So, but they still have him as winning, and I see it and I understand it.
I honestly see this as a trap game. I don't like it. Dak Prescott, for whatever reason, he doesn't show up for I love Cam Newton when he needs to. All the give me games, if you look up at him, that you'd be like, oh, Dak Prescott should have a monster game because the secondary is trash or the team's just trash. That's usually when he stinks it up. Yeah. The Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham tandem, I don't like it versus Jacksonville because I don't know how this ball is going to get spread out. Are they just going to say fuck it because they run up the score and they go to the run game? Is this going to be one of those weird ones where Tyler Higbee actually goes off because the defense just leaves him open and Matt Stafford like gives it to him? There's too many questions for it. The David Montgomery thing, I actually like that play versus Arizona. I can't explain to you why. It just seems like that might be one of the days where he goes off. And the rest of it is just it's too unpredictable. Jacoby Myers versus Buffalo, yeah, that's a tough defense to go against too. Buffalo's kicker's been like really, really not that great the last few weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Same thing for the Los Angeles defense. They haven't looked that great since acquiring, what's that dude's name? Von Miller, so I don't like it. On Reese's end, she's going to get Patrick Mahomes back. He's looked a lot better in the last few weeks. He also has CEH back, so things have been looking better for him there. She gets back Zach Ertz, like you said. And this actually seems like one of those games where she'll start Cole Beasley. He might be okay because he's not going to be the main focal point against Belichick. So, I don't know. I'm starting to like that. Oh, and she gets her kicker back. She gets Butler back versus Denver.
Butler's good. Butler is good. but she doesn't have a defense as of right now. So
not yet, but
yeah,
there's a lot of good defensive matchups coming up this week on the waiver wire. By the time they see this, it won't matter. There's like Miami. They have a good matchup going against, the Giants. There's a couple of different ones. I don't know them all off the top of my head, but there's opportunities there.
For sure. Certainly. So, there certainly are matchups that are there to be exploited. So.
Oh my God, is that radio for Cam Newton's head? I just realized that.
Yeah, it is. Well, so that's what we have here for that matchup, and I can't call it. This one's a push for me. I can't call it.
And you got Thielen versus Minnesota? Thielen's been on fire lately, man.
Versus Detroit, you mean?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. That's what I meant. Detroit. That's going to be – that's an interesting one. I don't know. The only thing that scares me on her side is what DK do we get?
Yeah.
Is he going to get hyper-targeted?
I don't expect DK to do much, even if he does get hyper-targeted. I don't expect him to do much of anything, honestly. The biggest thing that scares me is Cooper Kupp in Jacksonville. Like, that dude has been making 30-point performances like his regular, and going up against Jacksonville, like, that's scary. Like, I don't know what that's going to be, but he does have some serious question marks to the point that makes me want to go Reese's Buttercup. The fact that there's no bench here to call on, and he has 2 empty slots that he has to figure out, that's a huge deal and a huge red flag. So I'm just going to go with Reese's Buttercup here.
I'm not going to lie. Something tells me Derek Carr might be the better play over Dak Prescott this week. I could be 100% wrong, but it just feels that way to me.
Yeah. Well, Derek Carr has been on his bench this whole time, and he hasn't used them, so we'll see. All right. We are done with the pre-game analysis for Week 13. And our picks are in. We are locked in now. It's time to get into the power rankings and see how things have changed now that some victories happened and some defeats happened in Week 12. So here we go. Actually, before we do that, I do want to point out something that was very interesting this week is that every team that are currently set to make the playoffs has lost in Week 12. Every single one except for Luckylombardis in Week 12. So 2 through 6 has lost, and now we will see what's going to happen going forward. All righty, sir, take it away. Power Rank is presented to you by Rickey.
Well, and this week, as you'll see for the top 5 positions, there hasn't been too many big changes. Starting off, we got Coach staying at number 1, Big Trust at number 2. Ooh, wait, I messed this up. I didn't even catch that. If you look, you see BoomerBus in there. When I was doing the Photoshop, I fucked that up. That's my bad. I was in a rush trying to do it in the car while driving home. People, don't text and drive. This is what happens. But in my actual written down on the piece of paper, we got Coaching at number 1, Tobias at number 2, Cedric at number 3, Darius at number 4, and Reese at number 5. All those positions change. Moving up 1 is Charles. He moves up over FTW, who drops down at 1. Then we also have Sean jumping up, I think it was 2. Him going above Corey dropping down 1. Myself dropping down 1. Mark moving up, and Rodney coming in down at number 1. So right now, Rodney and Mark are, jockeying for position to see who's going to be the trash-ass league's, trashiest player. But something tells me Mark's going to prevail and Rodney will stay down there as trash. So
one would only hope, seeing how I'm currently it just bothers me, man, having so many points and just being trash in the win column. But hopefully I could drag some of you guys down here with me as we exit this season. Hey man, because look, to make the playoffs, all I need is a little energon and a lot of luck. That's a little Transformers quote from 1984 for you nerds out there that know about it. And if you don't, then fuck you. Like, you should learn some shit.
S&B. That's how he rolls on the show. S&B.
So yeah, man. Well, all right, guys. That's the end of this episode. Thank you for joining us. Like I said, some things are definitely shaking up. This league is still coming down. The fact that there's only one team locked in for the playoffs and we only have 2 regular season games left lets you know the type of stuff that has been going down in this league all season. It is scary hours. We are into the spooky territory. Right now, this week is when teams will, in fact, lock their playoff spot depending on their wins or losses. So Luckylombardis will finally figure out who else will be joining him this week. Not all positions will be locked up, but at least 2 or 3 of them will be. So with that being said, good luck to the guys that are still have great shots as getting it in, which is right now, BoomerBus has the strongest shot of making it into the playoffs. His destiny is within his own hands going forward. And the same goes for Reese's Buttercup team. But she'll need a little help if she'll need somebody to take an L. And for her to move up, she needs to win and they need to lose. If she wins and Big Trust loses, he's going to be knocked out of the playoffs, and the same goes for Sean as well. But we'll see how that goes going forward. And one more, so everybody's still in it. It's anybody's game, as they say. So good luck to everybody out there. Link, like, subscribe. Peace.